I got this gold glitter paint a few months ago at Christmas, and I am intrigued by it. I've never used a glitter paint before, so I'm not sure how well this is gonna work on my figures or what it would look like all glossed over, but I want to experiment. I want to try it out. I just need to think of a theme or a character that would work well with gold glitter. So I'm trying to think what creatures love gold. The obvious choice being leprechauns, which, or dragons. Dragons love gold, as foretold in the Desolation of Smog. But I think maybe a dragon would be like a little too ambitious for how I'm feeling presently. And then it dawned on me, what creature loves sparkle most of all? The Nifflers from the Fantastic Beasts series. They can't get enough sparkle. So I think that should be perfect. It's small, it's cute, it's right up my alley, and I've actually been wanting to make something Harry Potter themed for a while now. Because of all the fandoms I talk about on this channel, Harry Potter is my number one forever. My heart, my soul, my defining personality trait. So let's do it. Let's make a Niffler. All right, here we go. I'm busting out the air dry clay. I've had a couple people on Instagram message me asking about clay brands. This one's from Amico Brent, and it is the only brand I have tried so far. I get it mainly because it comes in a really big block that lasts me a long time. But maybe after this supply is up, I should branch out, try some other brands. I don't know. Any sculptors out there, if you have a brand that you really like, let me know. I like reading your suggestions. Now, initially, I'm just sizing out some pieces to use for the head and body. I don't measure it out, I just kind of do what looks right to my eyes. And I'll attach those two blobs together, smooth out the surface, and then work on kind of refining that form. I'm adding a little extra thickness to his back and rounding that out with my fingers. And then I did have to Google if Nifflers had tails because I couldn't remember. But yes, tail confirmed. So I'm giving him a little stumpy tail on his bottom here. Next, I'm going to work on making a little duck bill for his mouth. Now, this is the part I was most concerned about, I think, because this is really going to make or break the face. I got it secured on here and then smoothed out the seams with a paintbrush, but then I felt like it looked too big, like too chunky for his face. So I'm taking a clay carving tool here and gently scraping off some of that volume. Flatten it out a little bit, and I do think that looks better. If it looks like a platypus, I think I'm going in the right direction. Here I am working on his eyes. I decided to make his eyes pop out, like give myself a raised surface for his eyes rather than painting them on flat. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I was going for an eyeball surrounded by skin or fur or something here. But even once they're on and all smoothed out, I'm realizing this really doesn't look so much like a platypus anymore than it does a duck wearing bifocals. But I've already overworked the face at this point. It's too wet to mess with any further, so let's leave it alone. Let's come back to that. I've made some little feet that I'm going to attach onto each side, make it look like he's just plopped down on the ground. And I'm also thinking about how I can incorporate that gold element now. I thought I could put him in some jewelry, or I could do like a stack of gold bars, but landed on doing a gold coin. I think that's gonna be good. It's small, he can hold it in his little paws like it's his little treasure. I think this is gonna be good. So I flattened out a piece of clay and I'm using this little circle cookie cutter thing to get me a perfectly round looking coin. That by itself looked kinda boring to me, so I did carve some extra like ridges along the sides of the coin and some random markings on the front. I don't know, it kind of ended up looking more like a cookie, but that's okay. We're gonna go with it. In my head, the coin already has its own backstory, okay? It was in the robe pocket of a Hogwarts student heading into Hogsmeade. They get up to the counter in Honeydukes to pay for their chocolate frog, but find their pockets are empty. The money is gone. Cut to baby Niffler running through the streets with his new favorite coin. Maybe he camps out on the Hogwarts Express, pickpocketing kids, taking money from the trolley lady. He loves it. He's got a small fortune now, and he just can't stop stealing from children. Now I'm revisiting the eyes. I think maybe they're too bulky, so I'm using that tool to shave down the eyes, just like I did with the beak. That ultimately removed the skin/eye distinction I had made, but I think maybe that's for the better. I'm still not done, but I need it to dry once again. So I'm gonna let that sit out for a day, and then once the clay is firmer, I can go in and carve out some details in his face. I'm gonna do a faint line through the middle of his bill, not too deep, just enough so it's noticeable, and I'll carve out some little nostrils as well on top, and then it all needs to dry for one more day. You'll know it's dry when you can no longer dent the clay with your finger and the color shifts to almost white. I don't see any glaring bumps or texture on this, so I don't feel the need to sand him. I'm just gonna get right on in with priming him. And to do that, I do a couple layers of white acrylic. Now, usually I think I always paint the body first, but since his body will be all black, I'm going to paint all the lighter colors first, since it's much harder to paint over black. I'm starting with his face, mixing up a couple shades of cream and beige and maybe some pink in the mix as well. I'll lay down the base color all over his bill and eyes, and then I have a darker tone to add under the bill and in the creases of his face, and then a lighter color to add highlight on top of the bill. It's hard to tell these are different colors on camera, but I promise they are. Then I'm taking some very light pink along the mouth and I'm blending it into the beige using this little baby sponge. I deepened those carvings that I made a little bit more with some light brown, and then I'm going to repeat the same process with the same color combos on the hands and the feet. I am starting to see some semblance of a Niffler. I'm particularly channeling those baby Nifflers as seen in The Crimes of Grindelwald. I did see that movie in the theaters, and when I tell you that I squealed and wept with joy when the baby Nifflers came out, I mean that sincerely. I was also on a first date at the time, so that is a choice, certainly. Although it was really no choice for me because the weeping at the mere sound of any Harry Potter music is completely involuntary for me. I cannot help that, sorry. Okay, while some of that dries, we can move into the coin. I have a feeling that this glitter paint is not going to have the coverage that appears in the bottle, so I'm using a metallic gold paint as the base to cover the whole coin. And now we break out the star of the show, the catalyst for this figure. Oh, wasn't that satisfying? And she is gloopy, folks. Definitely the same consistency as glitter glue. In fact, I'm not sure how one would be marketed as paint and the other glue. As I expected, it's going to take some effort to build up that glitter. I'm just going to have to let it dry and keep adding layers until we have enough sparkle. But while that is in the works, I can finish detailing the eyes and then paint the fur all black. Okay, I'm feeling pretty satisfied with how this looks. I did sign and number the bottom of my figure, and then the last step is the top coat. I'm going to add my glossy varnish to the whole thing and let that dry for another 24 hours, and then we can check out the final result. Would you just look at this creature. He is just so pleased with himself. He's happy, he's got all of his treasure here, and I'm pleased too. I really like how this turned out. This Niffler is now listed in my Etsy shop. I will leave a link in the description box below if you'd like to adopt him. I just think he looks so cute on a shelf or on a stack of Harry Potter books. Just maybe keep him away from your jewelry box or your piggy bank because you really can't trust these Nifflers. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!